Wait, what about weird?
My name's Elena.
And I'm Echo, and this is our podcast, What About Weird? A podcast where we discuss all things weird from cryptids and aliens to strange science and unhinged history.
This week we're doing something a little different. We're doing a Weird Talk episode, which if you're new here is an episode where we don't really research and we just talk about our thoughts on whatever topic for this week. So basically we speak out of our asses for talk out of our asses for 45 minutes.
I mean, talk and speak are synonyms. That's...
Yeah, but speaking out of your ass implies something a lot more concerning than talking out of your ass. This week we're talking about ghosts. And apologies in advance if we're a little loopy. I just got back from vacation.
And I've had a really bad migraine, and I took some migraine medication that makes me feel like a really fuzzy light bulb.
Fuzzy light bulb?
Yeah.
Like those light bulbs with the little rubber stickers on them from just 2008.
You know when you look at a light and it just looks fuzzy?
I think your light bulbs have mold issues.
Not the light bulb itself, but when the light goes out and the light itself looks fuzzy, like that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Fuzzy light.
Fuzzy light.
Speaking of fuzzy light, ghost lights. Back on topic. We're talking about ghosts.
I don't know where to start.
I got ghost notes. Let's look at my
ghost notes.
Ghost note.
Ghost
Goat notes.
Goat notes.
So let's just start with, what do you think ghosts are? Like the dead, time slips, our minds being funky? What?
Can I answer like D, all of the above?
Yeah. No, that's kind of what I would agree on.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of everything. I'm not like dead set on this is a person that has passed away and they are now haunting you. I'm kind of the persuasion that
I know alive people that haunt me more than dead people. So
I could think, like, I can get behind the idea. I like the thought of it. Like, when my dog passed away when I was, like, 12, I used to write to him in my diary because I was like, his ghost is still around, and that's just something that made me feel better. And so that's, like, a thought that I carried around with me. So even if it's not dead people, I think that could be really comforting, especially if you're not somebody that's like super religious, instead of like the they're up in heaven thing. It's their spirit is still with me.
It's
kind of thing.
What you would believe to help yourself.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in that same thing of, it could be like the spirits of the dead people. It could be our remembering the dead people in our own way, and our minds creating that. It could be our minds playing tricks. I think kind of like with our UFO Weird Talk episode. I'm not sure exactly what this is, but I'm pretty much open to anything, and I think it's fascinating regardless.
Right. Well, and there's also, I like the theory that it's like people in a parallel universe, and their universe is like seeping into ours.
I think that one's fun, or the one where it's the time slips, or there's where it's like they're the ghosts to us, but they're actually living their life in like 1832, and we're living our life in 2025, so we're the ghosts. We're just weird ghosts to them, moving stuff around.
Okay, but when we see ghosts, don't you feel like 90% of the time it's like some Victorian person? Why when we see ghosts, are we not seeing as many modern people?
Because they blend in. That's my theory. If you saw someone dressed in Victorian garb walking across the the street, you'd be like, is that a ghost? If you saw someone walking across the street dressed like it's 2006, you just think it's someone trying to do Y2K style.
That's so true.
But it could be a ghost.
Yeah, you're so right.
It could be a ghost from last year, just dressed normally. And the closer you get to now, the more, if someone's in a t-shirt and jeans who's a ghost from 1980, they'd probably look very similar with some differences to someone now. It'd just be a little off.
Wouldn't it be weird, though, if it was the time slip thing, and then the people, like, back in the 1600s or whatever are seeing modern day people? Wouldn't that really freak them out? Because they're like, why are these women wearing pants?
They're wearing pants! She must be a witch!
Yeah.
But I mean, again, if it's you don't see something, but it's just stuff moving around, maybe we're picking something up and moving something that's in the same place, or we're just a ghost light to them.
Mm-hmm.
But what if we're picking something up that lines up with something in the past, and it moves that thing in the past,
right.
So they don't see us; they just see a cup moving across the thing.
Right.
I don't know.
Because I guess 9 times out of 10, people are not seeing like full body apparitions.
Yeah.
Interesting. Or I also kind of subscribe to like, this is just the energy in the universe. Like there's just an energy to everything. And so sometimes things happen.
Yeah, and there's also I've also heard the theory that like there's the tape recorder theory, like the stone tape recorder of certain stone or certain energy will be held into a place even if someone didn't die there. Like just a moment in time is caught for one reason or another. There's a lot of energy there, or this person did like had a certain routine every day, and maybe they didn't die in that house, but every day they're getting up, going to this place, making their coffee, sitting on the porch, rocking in a rocking chair. So you'll see the door open, you'll hear clattering in the kitchen, and then you'll see the rocking chair rocking. Ooh. But maybe that person didn't die there. They just had that habit every day, so it imprinted on the energy of the space.
So it's like an energy path, and that path is still being completed.
That's a theory that I've heard.
Ooh, that one's really interesting.
Or like, someone might not have died in prison, but because there's so much pent-up, like, emotion in a prison, their emotion would be imprinted there.
Yeah. And I think... Are tulpas ghosts, or...
From what I understand, it is... This is going to be a really bad way of describing it, but it's an imaginary ghost. Like, you're bringing about this spirit.
Right.
So, do you know about Philip the Imaginary Ghost?
I don't think so.
So that was these people... It was this experiment that some people did where they wrote this whole story for a ghost, and they tried to believe in it so hard that it supposedly created a ghost. That would be a tulpa. Or like, if a space isn't haunted, but everyone says, oh, that old rundown house over there's a man with a hook and one eye and a purple mohawk or something. I don't know, whatever. There's this story over there. There's no actual haunting, but people tell this story so much it pushes energy into that,
right,
that it creates a ghost to fill that story, because there's so much energy of, oh, I heard something, this place must be haunted. Oh, my brother told me that this is haunted, or I heard it from Billy at school that this is haunted, and there's so much energy put into that space that it just becomes its own form. That's how I understood it anyway.
Yeah, I always thought the idea of a tulpa was super interesting, because I know that they thought the Bell Witch could have been a tulpa. Like, I know it's, people are like, it could be witchcraft, it could be a spirit, it could be a tulpa, because, like, they thought it was maybe the manifestation of her father abusing her, and so the ghost or whatever they thought it was, or the witch power or whatever they thought it was abusing
she was just
her.
A witch.
Yeah, or they thought she was the witch herself, but it was actually just like a manifestation of all of like the trauma that her father put her through. So I always thought those were really interesting, that like you might create these experiences for yourself, or even for other people, just based on what you believe it is.
I mean, there is a whole thing with because the girl in the Bell Witch family, the Bell family, was like an early teen, late tween girl, and there's like a whole thing of, she's hitting puberty, she must have ghosts. Like, that was a thing with Jeff the Talking Mongoose, is the main kid in that family was like going through puberty, and I think the Black Monk of Pontefract?
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Pontefract.
Was also around that age, and the boy in the Exorcist is based off of was around that age. So there's like a whole thing of that, of just all that emotion, and it may just be a trope like haunted Indian burial grounds.
All of your teen angst created this ghost.
That explains so much. Yeah, so what do you think makes, regardless of if it's real or not, what makes a good ghost story for an actual place? Not, campfire ghost stories, but if someone's like, oh, that house is haunted or whatever, like what did you ever hear some growing up of like, oh, this building's haunted, or the basement of my school is haunted, or like this
all the time.
That I had, where I grew up, it was on land that used to be an old plantation, and so there's a whole bunch of just old houses everywhere, and people would just be like, oh, that's haunted, or this is haunted, or with my school, the basement of the school is haunted because of this, the attic of the school is haunted because of this. This building is haunted. If you go into this building is haunted. All these stories, like what makes that to you not necessarily believable? What makes that like a good story to you?
We actually took one of the ghost tours, and they were like, they took us to my high school, and they were like, this is haunted because they were doing the play Macbeth. So
you said the name.
I know.
Don't say the name. Don't say the. Get out of my house.
We aren't doing the play. I don't think it counts, right?
I didn't pay enough attention in theater class.
I don't know if you're just never supposed to say it at all, or if it's only if you're like putting on the play.
Only if you're putting it on.
But they said like some girl like committed suicide or something like in the theater when they were about to do that play. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but then they always said like, yeah, the basement of their school is haunted. I don't think any of that is actually true, but I know a lot of that stuff was said. And then, of course, there was what you were saying where everybody thinks that Indian burial grounds are haunted for whatever reason, and they're everywhere in America because, I mean, the Native Americans, this was their land first. They were kind of everywhere here. So I think that's a little goofy, but that's a trope, of course.
Interesting. Yeah, in North Carolina, we have the Devil's Tramping Grounds, which is supposedly super satanic. No grass grows there, whatever. We have a habit of just throwing the devil in every ghost story down here. But I think that's a interesting ghost story because it doesn't really involve someone like dying. And it's kind of just, it's haunted, but it's not dead people ghosts haunted.
Right.
I think what makes a good ghost story to me is when there's some tropes that are recognizable, but it's not purely trope.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because when it's purely trope, you're like, okay, whatever, this isn't real. And that kind of gets into my next note that I had of what makes a ghost story believable. And I think it's like, yeah, there's some tropes and similarities because you have that with people of, like, you meet people and you're like, oh, you are a human trope. But I think having that slight difference in some stories, like I was reading a book this past week with some ghost stories of North Carolina, and there was one of the land that I grew up on, and the actual like main house of that plantation, where it was, okay, here's some tropes of tortured souls, whatever, but what made it different is that, and they had, some witchcraft elements, but what made it different is it was supposedly haunted by the spirit of this lady that performed witchcraft to bring other spirits in when she was alive to help protect her and other people. Like her
Interesting.
the other enslaved people there.
Okay.
Which I thought that made for a good, I don't know if that's, true or not or whatever, but I think that made for a good story because you have some of the classic tropes of like witchcraft and the you kind of push the tormented soul trope in, but then it's different where it's still haunted by these spirits she summoned. Which I think is interesting. And I think having the thing of mystery, and what makes a good ghost story is kind of it getting passed around. Like at my high school, there was the story of there's this place we called the Gray Hallway, which was in the basement where there used to be a pool. And supposedly someone had drowned there. They had to close down the pool. And down there was haunted. But because that, that's not all this crazy story, but it got passed around so much that that's what made it like the passability of a story.
Right.
And I think there's a certain like folklore element to all of this, which makes it good. Imagine how many stories there were just about folklore stuff, not ghosts, that didn't get passed on because they were kind of shitty stories.
Yeah.
And how many like folklore stories got passed on and modified because they were good, but I like adding this aspect, or I like adding that aspect, or it stuck because it was good.
That's the thing is, when we did the ghost tour and all that stuff, I don't know if I believe like 90% of it, just because it does seem very like tourist attraction-y. But the one that's kind of tourist attraction-y that I still think is really cool is the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. There's so much lore behind it, and it's so famous, but the experiences there and the stories there still seem so interesting and unique in some aspects. And we actually stayed at the Stanley Hotel, and it was probably just me being like in middle school and being influenced by all of the stories that I'd heard about it. But I remember doing the ghost tour around it, and you can go in like the basement of the hotel, and it almost feels like you're in some mines under the hotel. It's really interesting. You're just like in these tunnels that have been dug out under there. And I remember standing in front of like one of these like holes in a wall and feeling like someone was breathing on my neck, which was really interesting. And then I also had a really bad nightmare that night that we stayed there.
Ooh. The tunnels thing, you went to Mammoth Caves as well, yes?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Did they tell you ghost stories while you were there? As part of the tour, they told us some ghost stories.
We didn't do the tour of, like, the actual Mammoth Caves. Like, we went to the museum and we were in the park, but we did a tour of one of the smaller caves.
Okay.
That was a little bit farther out from the larger cave system.
Did the main cave tour. And they did tell some ghost stories, and there was one place they had a stand, and they kind of spoiled a little bit for us, and we're like, yeah, air comes through that little tunnel up there, and it feels like someone's blowing on you, and that goes with this ghost story. Or I don't remember what the ghost story was, but, so it kind of goes along with what you were saying with the tunnels in the basement and the airflow. You're like, oh, someone's blowing on my neck, or whatever, and I think connecting ghost stories, but connecting things to the location kind of makes it better.
Right.
Speaking of ghost tours, we went on, me and Echo went on a Chapel Hill ghost tour. What did you think of that, with the stories being believable or not? Because we didn't really talk about that after we did
I actually really liked, because I thought Gimghoul Castle was the freaking coolest thing when I first moved here.
Oh, yeah, that castle.
Yeah, it's, like, privately owned, and you can't actually go on the property or whatever, but they have, like, a little roundabout right in front of the property, so you can slowly drive around the roundabout and kind of pretend like you're lost and check out the castle. But anyway, it's, like, owned by UNC Chapel Hill, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And it's kind of like this boys' society or whatever, but they founded it and built the castle
because boys will be boys.
Because of this Peter, I think his name is Peter Gimghoul, who I guess was really in love with like this woman, and some other dude also loved this woman, so they like dueled each other on the fucking campus, and he died. And I guess the story is, like, he spilled his blood on a rock on the ground there. And they, like, took that rock and they used it to build Gimghoul Castle. And now it's, like, this secret society for boys or whatever at UNC Chapel Hill.
In our blood castle. We're gonna play Uno in the boys club in the blood castle.
Which is like it's a little bit of a goofy story, but I really liked that one. I thought it was cute, and I really do hope that they used the blood rock.
I thought the The one I remember the best was the, I think it was the first story they told us where she was like, the tour guide was like, oh yeah, this is this hotel, and this professor used to just stay here a bunch, and he's just a goofy little guy, and if you stay in his room, he'll move stuff around on you.
Yeah.
And I liked that because it wasn't anything too crazy or extreme. It's just like, yeah, he had such a good time in life, he didn't want it to end, so
Right.
he just now haunts this place he used to like to hang out. Which I liked that. I thought that was like sweet and cute. And it was a totally different. So the next day I did the Raleigh, the one on UNC NC State
Yeah.
campus, and that one was a totally different flavor.
It's like all gore and...
No, one of the stories was like these people jumped off of this tower because they were so in love and they couldn't be together because they were an interracial couple and they just committed suicide off this tower, and then
Oh, that's so sad.
and then they're like the tale morphs to they were a gay couple, but records show that it was just someone who accidentally fell off of this tower.
Oh.
Which is still gruesome, but all the stories were like that, and like one of them was, oh yeah, this guy got murdered in these tunnels and now you can't go into them. Like the UNC one was, other than that one, the one of the guy getting his head hit on the rock or whatever.
Yeah.
All of them were pretty sweet.
It was very mild. Like, even the
Yeah.
one where he, like, died in the duel was kind of cute because it was, like, he died for his love, and they built, like, this lover's theater for him, and they built him a castle,
Well, actually,
and...
the ghost story about, like, this is the animal testing lab, and the animal's hot.
Yeah.
That one was kind of disturbing.
I was going to mention that one because that one was really interesting,
Yeah.
where they were, like, they used to test on animals in the basement of this building, and so, like, sometimes students will report animal noises that come from these rooms, which is really fucked up and sad, but I don't feel
That
like we
was the-
talk about animal spirits enough.
But everyone, like, there's so many stories of ghost cats, though.
I haven't heard that many. I don't know a lot of people with cats, though. I don't know.
So I went to the paranormal, when I went to the Cryptozoology and Paranormal Museum, the guy had, like, a video of a ghost cat and was like, oh yeah, most places I've investigated, like, don't quote me on this because I don't remember, that was like a year ago, but he was like, there's a lot of ghost cats in places. You'll read people like, this place is super haunted, and then it's like I get ghost cat activity, and he had like a video of a ghost cat butt going around a door.
That's so wild. I do know quite a few, like, ghost dog stories,
Yeah.
like, especially when, like someone's elderly dog will pass away that they had for a really long time, and then, like, a lot of women will, like, become pregnant, and they'll see their dog kind of start showing up. Like, there's this one story, this one lady that was pregnant, and she saw, like, an apparition of her dog that, like, came over to her and laid its head on her lap, and she thought it was because she was pregnant, and the dog was, like, I don't know, trying to see the baby one last time or whatever. It was
Interesting.
really
That's
cute.
sweet. Yeah, I've heard a number of stories like that, and I'm pretty sure there was a ghost cat at my parents' house because we never owned a cat, and we're gonna do a whole episode on ghost stories, our ghost stories, and other people's ghost stories in a later episode. So send us ghost stories. We'll tell you later how. But so back to this ghost cat. We never had a cat because my dad was pretty allergic to cats, and me and my brother have a minor cat allergy. But I would be like at home and I'd hear like meowing.
Did your neighbors have cats?
Our neighbors had cats, but we were out in the sticks, so the nearest neighbor was
We're far.
not super far, but like decently far.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'd hear like meowing sometimes.
And it would make sense if you, like, saw your neighbor's
And-
cats around or whatever.
Yeah, and sometimes
but...
I'd be like, I'd sit down and I'd feel something sit down next to me, and my dog wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
I'd look over and there's nothing there. I was like, maybe I'm just crazy, whatever. But so I'm pretty sure that place had a ghost cat, and I've heard other people have stories about stuff like that, or like you said, ghost dogs. But yeah, you don't really hear much about like ghosts. Like, we I've heard some ghost horse stories.
I think I've heard ghost horse stories in the way that, like, someone will be, like, a ghost will be on a horse, but...
I've heard that, and I've heard of, like, phantom horses of, like, this place you'll be walking around and you'll see a white horse up on this hill or whatever, and it's an omen of something, like spirit horses type thing. Or that kind of thing of, you know, a whole bunch of horses got killed here in a fire, and now you'll hear their phantom neighing or whatever. But you don't hear, like, ghost goat stories, or ghost, like...
Ghost cows.
Ghost cows.
Ghost chickens.
Yeah.
Ghost chickens make a lot of sense, because chickens... I don't know, they just seem haunted to me. Chickens are freaky.
You can say that again. I love chickens. I love chickens. Had chickens for years. But those things are basically dinosaurs, and
they'll, like,
they haunt
cannibalize each other, and then, like, if you chop off their head, they'll still run around. You cannot tell me that like, freaking chicken isn't gonna haunt you after you chopped off its head and it ran around the fucking yard for 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, like I said, chickens haunt you while they're still alive. It's their eyes.
They're freaky.
But yeah, no, the ghost farm animals. I want to find more stories of that.
You really?
We'll probably dig into that. Let's see here. What else do I have in my notes? I have talking to the dead. So
like seances and
seances,
stuff?
Spirit boards.
I've still
like
never
that.
tried a spirit board. Ever.
Me neither. I have one.
Yeah, your little mini one?
Yeah. It's a kitty cat. It's a kitty cat spirit board.
It's cute.
I'm not going to use it in my place. I don't want my place to be haunted. But
We should so try it out at my old apartment, though, now that I don't live there. Yeah.
yeah, let's do it sometime.
I'm really curious, because if we, like, summon something fucking crazy there, it doesn't matter. I mean...
Yeah, it's just there.
I'm pretty sure that apartment has, like, a fucking demonic presence. I kid you not.
After
we
the
had,
glass
like...
broke.
We have had, like, the fucking, like... You know when God sent the plague of fucking locusts and shit? That is what is happening in that apartment. We've had, like, fucking, like... plagues of, like, beetles and shit in that apartment.
The whole wall, like, falling apart on you or whatever.
Like, it will get, like, mold in the wall, and then the entire wall will be rotting, and...
Well, I was eager to do a spirit session in there. Now I don't wanna.
I think it's, like, it's straight up a fucking demon that lives in that place.
Is that the demon from,
It's horrible.
from Amityville in there?
Yeah.
It was just a 2-bedroom apartment. It's like, there's nothing to do here.
I literally... I don't subscribe to a lot of this stuff, but when I went to my new place, I cleansed the shit out of everything that I brought from the old place to the new place, because I was like, even if it's just like I'm putting isopropyl alcohol and everything because I don't want to bring, like, beetle larvae to our new place, or I don't want to bring a fucking demonic presence to my new place. I don't even care if I believe in that stuff. I don't care if my boyfriend believes in that stuff. I am going to do it just in case, because our last place was so bad.
You're like, I don't believe in ghosts, but I'm going to believe in ghosts for the sake of not having to deal with them.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, just sterilizing everything is a good practice.
Yeah,
we did that
I
when
did.
we moved in. Don't want to bring old dirt into a new place type deal. Don't want to bring ghost dirt into a new place.
Haunted dirt.
Did you ever know anyone that did, like, Ouija boards as a kid or anything? Or, like...
Not really, honestly. Like, my best friend had
sleepover
one.
ghost things?
My best friend had a Ouija board in their basement, but we never touched the thing.
I know what you mean by a Ouija board in the basement, but I'm picturing it, like, drawn in chalk or in blood on the floor. And
you, like, pull back that section of the carpet and there's the Ouija board there.
Yeah. You say it's in the basement, I just picture it, like, on concrete. Yeah, none of my friends ever really did that. We did Bloody Mary.
Oh, yeah.
But...
See, that was one weird thing that I did as a kid. But did you ever have an imaginary friend?
Yes.
Okay, who is your imaginary friend?
My imaginary friend was the dark witch in the woods.
God, I love how similar we are.
Just like a shadow witch in the woods who was not not, like, mean, but also not good. She was just kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd just be like, it's the ghost witch in the woods.
See, when I was little, I did Bloody Mary, and then I was like, Bloody Mary's my new imaginary friend. And, like, anytime I was, like, around a mirror, I'd be like, hey, bestie.
Hey, bestie.
Hey, bestie, what's up, Bear?
And now you have a little cocktail to commemorate her by.
So goofy. I love that both of our imaginary friends were just, like, these fucking crazy ghost, like, witches.
Yeah.
Just weird entities. Love that for us.
It was just the dark witch in the wood.
Just girly things.
Just girly things. Yeah, boys play video games and Super Smash Bros. Girls summon demons and ghosts. You know, just girly things. We have pillow fights with demons.
Your imaginary friend is a fucking dark witch in the woods or Bloody Mary, you know.
It's the girlhood spectrum.
Oh, that's so good. I wasn't expecting yours to be, like, also equally fucking unhinged, but I should have expected that.
We're friends, what do you expect? We're friends for a reason.
I have a fondness for Bloody Mary now, though, because she was, like, my childhood friend.
Now the question is, do you like Bloody Marys?
I actually don't. I think they're gross. I can't
I've
stand,
never
like, a
had one.
savory alcohol.
I've never had one. I don't do tomato juice. I just look at it, I'm like,
Yeah, gross.
yeah, no, that looks haunted.
Or, like, martinis. I don't really like those either, because it's just, like, olives
I don't
and
like
shit.
like olives.
I just...
Off the rails podcast.
If my drink isn't sweet, why the fuck would I drink that shit? This is related because alcohol are spirits, like you said
Exactly.
before. You know, it's all related.
I wore my paranormal investigator hat into the ABC store, and the lady was like, "Are you actually a paranormal investigator?" And I said, "Clearly, I'm here for the spirits." She didn't get a kick out of my joke.
Oh no, I would have laughed.
But
Well, speaking of paranormal investigation, do you want to talk about our paranormal investigator names?
oh yes, we have a whole list written down. How did we even start coming up with this?
Because a different podcast that we listened to, they had some guests on that are doing Windy City Parathon. Is that what it's called?
Parafest?
Parafest?
Paracon?
You know, it's the name that has Windy City and Para in it. You know, one of those.
It's a paranormal convention in Chicago.
Yeah, and what is their name? TWATS, which
Twats.
is the Wisconsin...
Investigational... I don't know.
It would be an A, right? I don't know what the acronym
Spelling
stood
is
for.
for people that know how to spell.
That's like my new favorite Elena quote. Spelling is for people that know how to spell.
Put that on a shirt and sell it.
But anyway, I don't remember what the acronym stood for, but it was some sort of paranormal investigation team where it spelled out TWATS, and I thought it was, or Elena specifically thought it was really cool, and then was like, we should come up with our own. So we came up with a couple ideas that we thought were really interesting.
Almost all of them are bad words, though. So, do you want to take turns reading them off?
Okay, yeah, let me pull them up here. Yes, okay.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, okay, so our first one is TITS, but it's spelled TITTS, which stands for Triangle Investigators Tracking the Supernatural, because we're in the Research Triangle area.
Let's see, our next one is TRAP, TRAP, Triangle Research of Absurd Phenomena.
Okay, the next one is DILDO, DILDO, Durham Investigative League Dissecting the Occult.
And then we have FUCKERS, FUCERS, Fortean Unexplained Craft and Event Research Society.
To be fair, though, FUCERS, when you're, like, reading it, could totally be, like, fusers.
We could get away with putting that on a shirt.
That's true. And then the next one is Pussy, spelled PUSSEY, Paranormal Unsolved Socially... Wait, nope. That's Elena's poor spelling in this document, because that is definitely supposed to be society and not socially.
Unsolved socially. Listen, I didn't spell half these abbreviations like the real word, So you expect me to spell the actual word right? I am flattered.
That's so funny. Okay, so pussy, paranormal, unsolved society of supernatural, esoteric yokels.
And our last one that we have is
You gotta read the acronym words.
that would help. Is ASSES, ASSES, Advanced Society of Supernatural and Esoteric Studies.
So our two favorites are tits and asses. So we're really kind of caught between those two. But if anybody wants to, like, I don't know, write in, or maybe we'll do a poll or something, where you vote on which one you like the most, that would be interesting.
I think we should create a shirt that says tits on it and a pair of shorts that says asses on it.
Ooh.
With the acronym meaning on it.
Mm-hmm. That way you get both.
Yeah.
You
It's a
can wear
joke for
them
nobody
together.
but us.
I would wear those.
Me too.
Ghosts.
Ghosts. Goblins?
I don't think I have anything else about ghosts. Do you? What other points do you have? I brought no notes, so I'm just fucking winging it.
I have like 4 bullet points, and we're intending on, like I said earlier, we're intending on splitting this up into sort of a bit of a two-parter. We're going to have this one where we're talking about our thoughts, and then we're going to release another one where we're talking about our ghost experiences and the ghost experiences of some people that have written into us.
Yeah.
Which, that being said, if you have any ghost stories or other weird stories, please send them to us at whataboutweirdpod@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Instagram at whataboutweird.pod. And we also often share a lot of relevant pictures to the episodes there, if you want some sort of visual to go along with that. So that's all we have for now.
Yeah, all right. Thanks for listening.
And always remember
to ask about the weird.
Bye
Bye
for
for now.